We now come to the Hindu Awards ceremony. This year we have the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards for children's writing. We also have the first Hindu Tamil Lifetime Achievement Award and the Hindu Prize 2017 for Best Fiction. May I first invite Mr. N. Ravi, Publisher, The Hindu, Dr. Nirmala Lakshman, Director, The Hindu Publishing Group and Director, Lit for Life, distinguished author Sebastian Fox, and eminent children's writer and winner of this year's Bal Sahitya Puraskar, Paru Anand, to the stage. The first set of awards will be the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards, and for that we have Vidya Mani, the managing editor of Goodbooks, who will take you to the ceremony. Vidya, all yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. We're glad that Indian children's literature is being showcased at a Lit Fest, and we'd like to thank the Hindu Lit for Life, which showcases the best of Indian literature for extending its platform to promote excellence in children's books. A short introduction to Goodbooks. I'll keep it really short because we're all waiting to know who's won. The Goodbooks website is a repository of Indian children's books and provides a space to all those engaged with children to enter the fascinating discourse on children's literature. The reviews on the site critically evaluate books, enhancing the understanding of what constitutes good children's books and creating awareness about the role of books and children, books and reading in a child's life. Goodbooks gives out the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards for Indian children's books in association with the Hindu Young World. The purpose of these awards is to promote excellence in children's writing and illustration in India and to acknowledge innovative publishing trends. This year, the awards are being given in 4 categories: Best Picture Book Story, Best Picture Book Illustration, Best Book Fiction, and Best Book Nonfiction. So without much ado, I'm going to move into the shortlist of the Best Picture Book Story. It's Chatura Rao for Gone Grandmother, published by Tulika, Lavanya Karthik for The Lion's Feast, published by Karadi Tales, Saras for Unhappy Moon, published by Tulika Publishers. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Chatura Rao, winner of the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards 2018 for Best Picture Book Story. Congratulations, Chatura. May I invite you to come on stage and receive your prize. Chatura to say a few words.
I'd like to thank Hindu Young World Goodbooks for this award. I'd also like to thank my editor, Priya Krishnan, and all the other editors from Tulika for their encouragement and support. Every time I write a story which I don't know if anybody will ever be interested in, the Tulika editors write back and say, we saw something in it, we saw some meaning, and we saw some value. So thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Krishna Bala Shenoy, the young illustrator, because what is a picture book without illustrations? He put his heart into what he did. I think authors and artists need to constantly be alert to not allow moments of truth to slip by, especially children's writers. We write for young children, and we need to help them ask the right questions. I think that's really important. And thank you, Hindu, because this really encourages me to encourage kids to ask more and more questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chatura. The next category is Best Picture Book Illustration. The shortlist is Chetan Sharma for The Lion's Feast, published by Karadi Tales, Rajiv Ipe for Dive, published by Pratham Books, Nancy Raj for Maharani the Cow, published by Tulika Publishers. I am delighted to call on stage Nancy Raj, winner of the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards 2018 for Best Picture Book Illustration. My heartiest congratulations to you, Nancy. Invite Nancy to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to receive this very prestigious award because, according to me, illustrations are an art by itself. They're usually hidden between covers of a book. So thank you, Hindu and Goodbooks, for recognizing such wonderful art and acknowledging. And I'd also like to thank my publisher, Tulika, and yes, especially Radhika, Priya, and Diya, who worked very closely with me. I would like to thank the writer and also the other winners and even the nominations with me, especially Chetan and Rajiv, whose work has always inspired me. And I'd also like to thank my parents, who's always given me special love and the encouragement, because when I wanted to choose illustrations over an IT job, they always encouraged me. Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll now call out the shortlist for the Best Book Fiction Award. It's Nandika Nambi for Unbroken, published by Duckbill. Venita Coelho for Monkey See, Monkey Do, published by Hachette India. Mini Srinivasan for The Boy with Two Grandfathers, published by Tulika Publishers. Anjana Basu for 18 Tides and a Tiger, published by Terry. I'm happy to say that this award goes jointly to Nandika Nambi and Mini Srinivasan for Best Book Fiction. So we have two Best Books Fiction. May I first call on stage Nandika Nambi? Congratulations, Nandika. May I invite you to say a few words?
Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the Hindu and Goodbooks for this honor. I'm so thrilled, beyond words. I'm very thrilled. And first, I'd like to thank my publisher, Duckbill. Anushka from Duckbill is here today. They have been my mentors. This is my first traditionally published book, and they have really been my mentors throughout the process. And they have really helped make Unbroken the book that it is. I'm so grateful to them. And next, my family, they're also here. They're my constant source of support. And they've helped raise me to be the person that I am today. And lastly, my friends, for tolerating that person. And to everyone else who's encouraged me along the way, thank you so much. Thank you.
May I now call on stage the joint winner of the Best Book Fiction Award, Mini Srinivasan, winner of the Hindu Young World Goodbooks Awards 2018 for Best Book Fiction for The Boy with Two Grandfathers, published by Tulika Publishers. Congratulations, Mini. I invite Mini Srinivasan to say a few words.
To say that children don't read at all these days, I find, is a privilege of the well-off. There are millions of children in thousands of lakhs of villages and tribal hamlets who are desperate for good books. And I come across them in the course of my work. They can't afford to buy books, so we need to provide these books to them through school libraries, through community libraries, and make as many books as possible available to them because they're desperate to read. So I really want to thank Hindu and Goodbooks for giving children's literature the respect that it deserves. My co-awardees for the stunning books that they have written and illustrated. My publishers and editors at Tulika for lavishing their love on my books in the editorial process, and for bringing out so many wonderful books in so many languages that children around the country are now enjoying. Finally, my husband, who has always supported me, and our children and grandchildren who have been my inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Minnie. The last category of awards is for Best Book Nonfiction. The shortlist is Rupa Pai for So You Want to Know About Economics, published by Red Turtle. Devika Karyappa for India Through Archaeology, Excavating History, published by Tulika Publishers. Vivek Menon for The Secret Life of Indian Mammals, published by Hachette India. I'm delighted to call on stage Devika Karyappa, winner of the Hindu Young World Good Books Award 2018 for Best Book Nonfiction. I now invite Devika Karyappa to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. I always knew somewhere in my head that I wanted to write a book on Indian archaeology for children. It would be a book in which I would not only showcase our very rich and ancient heritage, but also talk of how archaeologists work to find the stories that tell us how to understand our history. It would be, of course, very light and fun so that young readers would have access to a subject which is sometimes considered a little bit obscure. Oops, the force of my words. And today, thanks to the wonderful Tulika Publishers, that dream of mine is a book. Radhika Menon, Diya Nair, it was your shared vision that made the book what it is. Ashok Rajgopalan, thank you for your wonderful, witty illustrations that so enhanced the book. And of course, to the Hindu Young World Good Books, this award is the greatest honor. Thank you so much.
The jury picked an honorable mention in this award category. Honorable mention books do not carry a cash prize or a trophy, but they do get a citation from a jury. So I'd just like to call out the name of the book. That was Vivek Menon, honorable mention in the Hindu Young World Good Books Award 2018 for Best Book Nonfiction category. The book is The Secret Lives of Mammals, published by Hachette India. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll now call Kritika to take over and move to the adult awards.
Thank you, Vidya. We now come to the Hindu Tamil Lifetime Achievement Award, which was announced last week at the Hindu Tamil Fest. And the award goes to Indira Parthasarathy, whose contribution to Tamil literature needs no mention. May I invite you to stage, sir? Request Mr. Indira Parthasarathy to say a few words.
I think the award is being given to me for my ability to live long. I feel honored by this prestigious award. And in fact, I felt that we are honoring the language Tamil itself, because it's one of the... By honoring Tamil, we are honoring ourselves. That's what I felt. And because it's the only language which is still spoken, and since long, and with an unbroken literary continuity. So I am very happy to receive this award, and I dedicate this award to the fearless journalist and theatre activist, Jnani Sankaran, who is now. And I must thank also my daughter and my son-in-law. My daughter Padma is here, and my son-in-law is, and for taking care of me for the last 2 decades and more, allowing me space to think and function as independently as ever. Thank you.
Now we come to the Hindu Prize 2017. May I ask Dr. Nirmala Lakshman to honor distinguished author Sebastian Fox, who will be presenting the trophy. Before I invite our jury onto the stage, may we have the presentation on the shortlist, please? Thank you. I'd now like to invite our jury onto the stage. Ananya Vajpayee, Chandan Gowda, Gauri Vishwanathan, Jonathan Gill Harris, and Kamini Mahadevan. May we have all you. The Hindu Prize was instituted in 2010 to honor the best of Indian fiction. I would now ask one of our jury members to take you through the process by which they arrived at the winner, and then hand over the envelope containing the winner's name to Sebastian Fox.
Thank you so much, Kritika, Nirmala, Ravi, for being on the stage and sharing this momentous event with this audience. It's been a very great pleasure for me to be on this jury and to have the honor of and privilege of reading so many novels over the course of the past year. We had something like 100 plus novels, and we whittled down the list to the 5 short listed books that you just heard mentioned. I have to say that in the last read, when we read the final books in order to determine the winner, it was an extremely agonizing process because we felt any one of them could be the winner. So I think perhaps it's only appropriate for us to get the envelope to hand over to. You have the envelope. We have a citation which all of us, the jury members, all 5 of us collectively wrote together. So once we present the envelope, I'd like to read the citation. So.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I seem to be very shambolic, even more shambolic than usual. I've also lost my phone, but I gather somebody's found it. Anyway, it's a tremendous honor for me to be here and to be asked to present this prize, which I know how important it is. And prizes, although some people are a bit cynical about them, particularly in my country, there seem to be so many, they do they do have a very important function of bringing good literature into the public conversation. At least half a dozen times a year, people will be talking about books, arguing about them, hearing about them, knowing about them. It is a little strange for an English person to be here in India presenting a prize for Indian writers writing in English. It's complicated, especially since Indian writers have won most of our prizes. A sort of reverse colonization took place some years ago. You can see some of them in books rising up there. And I have to say that the sudden injection of ambition, joy, and talent by Indian-born writers into English language fiction is the best thing that's happened to British fiction in my lifetime. It's inspired a great deal of English-born, English language writers as well, and I really think the British novel is in a far, far better position because of everything that's been brought to it by writers in this country, as well, of course, as those from Australia, Canada, and all the other people who've scooped all our prizes. I just hope that maybe in 8 years from now, you will allow, the Hindu Prize will allow 1 or 2 Brits to enter as well. It's very hard for writers of literary fiction to make a living. It's really impossible. We almost all have other jobs. But just as we bemoan in my country the decline of literacy, the way that young people don't read anymore, their attention span is so short because it's been spoiled by the internet. Don't let's forget that all the other platforms from which people get their entertainment, television, Netflix, all sorts of different ways, movies and so on, for which people are now seem to be addicted, they still need, to use a horrible word, content. They still need stories. So there is a future for not just storytelling, but for serious literary storytelling. And that is what we are, in fact, celebrating with this prize. I remember the first time I discovered, by reading a book, I think it was by D.H. Lawrence, it might have been by Jane Austen, that all human beings have an internal life. Until the age of 14, I thought I was the only human being who had an internal life. And the joy of discovering that men, women, boys, girls of all ages, of all countries, had this dramatic, turbulent, fascinating internal life that was so much more interesting than the externals of my daily school life, is a thrill which has inspired and informed every single day that I have lived in this world since. And I know that all of us are here because at some point, some book, some character, some chapter suddenly changed the world for us. And once your world has been changed by its meeting with fine literature, it is enriched and changed forever. And it is that change, that transformative and uplifting power that this prize is here to celebrate. Shall I announce it now? And the winner of the Hindu Prize for Fiction is this year for the novel Temporary People is Deepak Unikrishnan.
We have a citation which I'm very, very pleased to read. As you just heard, we have awarded the prize to Deepak Unikrishnan for his novel Temporary People. We admired what he has accomplished in this novel, for he has brought keen insight into the heart-rending plight of the guest workers in the UAE. The novel, which is strictly speaking a collection of short stories or vignettes, speaks poignantly to the travails of Malayali migrant labor confronting readers with a world of suffering and exploitation, but never doing so in ways that make readers feel they are manipulated into feeling pity for the victims. So there's been so much excitement that I hope I can just share some the collective comments of the jury. And so we all felt that while every novel on the shortlist has unique strengths, and I do want to repeat how very difficult it was to decide on this novel, but at the same time we were particularly drawn to Unnikrishnan's experiments with form, the ease with which he takes syntactic liberties to convey the distinctiveness of the individual scenarios. The world Unnikrishnan has created is conceptually and stylistically a tour de force. Gulf workers who fall from the buildings they construct but do not die instantly, but are consigned to an alternative spectral reality. Guest workers who morph into passports. The man whose face becomes a suitcase. The boy whose tongue flees his face and whose verbs assume a life of their own. The novel's fractured narrative is less conducive to conventional storytelling than to the production of a surreal landscape that defines its characters. The fable and the fabulous are ideal idioms to capture the migrants' predicament as migrants move between worlds, never leaving their home behind entirely, never arriving at their destination in any complete sense. Both realities become slightly surreal between departure and memory, uprooting and settling. The novels play with languages, English, Malayalam, and Arabic, smartly captures the voices of the street and of the Malayali workers, the taxi driver, the construction worker, the nurse, and many others. So wildly imaginative in conception, these interconnected stories are comic, sometimes to the point of absurdity, ironic, terrifying, and poignant by turn. So on behalf of the jury, let me congratulate Deepak for this excellent book, which we are truly privileged to have read. So, Kritika, you can now welcome Deepak to say a few words.
Congratulations, Deepak. And now we'll have a few words from the winner.
Evening. I'm really not sure what to do, which is why I tried to steal his seat instead of going there for the picture. I'm going to do my best here. So I'll start with a story. My Amma and Acha have lived in the Gulf, which is Abu Dhabi, for over 40 years. And in a year or maybe another, they're going to return to Kerala. So for me, it was really important to have something to document people like my parents. You'll never hear about my father, you'll never hear about my mother, anywhere. They're ordinary to the point of being banal and commonplace, but they're my parents. And Achande pere Unnikrishan, Ammede pere Indu. My father's name is Unnikrishan, my mother's name is Indu. And the reason I say that is because there are other names that I don't have. So I want to basically give a shout out to people, parents who work in the Gulf on behalf of their children, uncles and aunts who work in the Gulf on behalf of their families, workers who are there and they're not really sure why they're lingering for as long as they are. Because at the end of the day, the book isn't a documentation of everything that a place like the UAE is. It's just a documentation of a certain narrative that hopes to add on to other narratives that will soon come into being. At the same time, I have teachers I have to thank, but if I go through all the names, you're going to be here forever. And before we got here, my partner and I, Raya, I thought maybe I'd have some sort of a document expressing thanks to these individuals. But then I got superstitious, and then I saw the shortlist and figured I'd never win. And now I'm rambling. But I need you to understand that there are two teachers I'd like to call out. One is Josephine D'Souza, others Rajani Verghese, who didn't call me out when I was in 3rd grade because I was ambitious and I was a standout student. They were just kind. And I'll end with one more name. Around 2004, 2005, I was a student in the States, practically broke, couldn't really afford my tuition. I had Professor Chesler, my mentor, to whom the book is dedicated to, pay a little bit. And then a friend of mine, his name is C. Sharath Chandran, gave me money to pay off my fees. He became a father recently, and these words, what I'm about to say next, are for his little girl, whose name is Avani. So you don't know me, and maybe 15 years from now, if YouTube still exists, or if you see this video of this rambling maniac trying to say something, that's understandable, you need to know this about your dad. When he gave me money, he did not know I was going to be a writer. When he gave me money, he did not tell me you have to pay me back by a certain time. When he gave me money, all he said was, this is an investment, and for the life of me, I will never understand why someone could be so kind, because he was the sort of student any school would love to have. Head boy, got the right jobs, everything, and then he saw me, an artist trying to be an artist. And I'm eternally grateful to your dad, so be nice to him. And at the very end, thank you, judges and The Hindu, for reading my work, for championing the work. But at the same time, thank you, everyone else who's on the shortlist. I've only met Prayag, and he's quite wonderful. So the only reason this feels important is because of the other names that have been associated with mine. So thank you very much. Because I teach, I tend to ramble on, so forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak, for the inspiring words, and congratulations once again. And this brings the end of the awards ceremony before we break for tea. So can we just have a group picture?